Hello everyone, my name is Carlos the Stout. I like the color green and buffalo wings, and here are my list of the top 10 games of 2010. God damn it, 2012. Starting off things like in a grindhouse, I got a double feature coming at you. I got Spec Ops The Line and Max Payne 3. These are both kind of similar to me. They're both third-person shooters with no real interesting gameplay, I guess, but they're both unoffensive. I mean, they're easy to get through, but their stories are so adult. They're the kind of stories that are, ingrained in reality almost, that when you're done playing, you kind of feel dirty. And it's just commendable for a game and storytelling in games to be able to do this to you, which is why I believe they both deserve a spot in my top 10 list. So at number 9 I have The Darkness 2, which I thought was a really fun game with some pretty great and visceral shooting mechanics in which you're not only using guns, you're also using the trademark Darkness magic demon moves. It's got co-op, which I thought was really bad. There was nothing special to it, but the single player is actually pretty good. It's a good length for the kind of game it is. It's got great pacing and it's very intense. The art style makes the game look kind of like a comic book in motion, and you truly feel like a comic book anti-hero. The game gives you plenty of skills and abilities that allow you to take on multiple enemies, do crowd control, healing yourself, stuff like that. And they're all really effective, so the actual fun and challenge of the game is trying to figure out which combination to use and with determinate moment. Not only to be more efficient, but also to be cool, to make it look cool. Number 8 is for FTL, which is this really cool indie game in which you play as a spaceship. And you are this spaceship, and so you gotta do all the little things that a spaceship has to do. You gotta traverse space while assigning tasks to crew members, you gotta decide which systems to power up at which times, and so on and so forth. The game has a very random nature to it. Every time you play through, it's going to be different. So not only will your gameplay experience change every time, but also the story that you make up in your mind about the ship and its crew and all the adventures that they go around. The game is good because it reflects on life. The game... It's like life itself, because you think you're doing all fine and dandy and everything's going alright and you got your dudes and everyone's happy, but then all of a sudden everything's on fire and there's like bugs boarding your ship and you're like, oh my god, what am I gonna do? This game is hard as balls, dude. The F in FTL stands for fuck you. My number 7 is very similar to my number 8. It is perhaps only through serendipity that they have been placed in such close proximity to each other. Number 7 for me, it's XCOM, Enemy Unknown, which is a turn-based game in which you play as an organization that fights aliens because they're bad. What is not bad though is the game XCOM, because there is a lot of decision making throughout the whole game, and your decisions have some real impact, because they will alter whether or not your troops will die, whether countries will support funding you. The interface is really easy to get to, which is a surprising thing considering the amount of depth and information and options that are available to the player at each time. It's a game that's really accessible, easy to play, but once you begin a mission, you're going to be completely tense the whole time, not knowing what's going to happen, but yet you're going to want to keep playing. And when you do screw up, you're going to think about it for days. Just like FTL, the X in XCOM stands for fuck you. Number 6 is Tokyo Jungle, which is this really weird animal survival game in which you play as any which kind of many different animals that have to survive in the city of Tokyo after some mysterious force has caused all humans to vanish. There's a story mode that you can play which kind of explains what happened to the humans, but the game itself is about just exploring the city and surviving as long as you can by feeding, fighting off enemies, and finding a suitable partner with whom to mate. And honestly, the game itself is pretty simple. It's kind of plain. You'll probably see all the gameplay it has to offer within the first hour or two. But all the little things that come into play are so crazy. You find little hats, little boots that give you stat boosts. You gotta get busy and, you know, do other doggies and stuff. I like animals. Number 5 is for Far Cry 3. And everyone loves Far Cry 3. So for the purpose of this audio segment, I will quote Nick. What Nick said. Yeah.
If you like to shoot things, Far Cry 3 is your best bet.
But all seriousness, it's cool because there's an island and you can shoot dudes. And spoiler alert, there's a quest where Komodo dragons eat some chick's boyfriend. My number 4 is for which is Syndicate in a nutshell. Syndicate is a really solid shooter. It's got this really cool feel that's conveyed by the character and the player character's animation. You know, it's very physical. The player has a very physical presence in the game, even if it's a first-person shooter and you usually only see your hands and your gun. But the game has some really good shooting, and it's augmented with special kills, special sci-fi skills, sort of like magic powers, but from the future, that allow you to get environmental kills as well as turn enemies against each other, you know, all that good stuff. It's got a really stylish, futuristic sci-fi setting, you know, very sterile, very clean. The plot, however, is pretty lackluster, but I'm gonna let that slide because when it comes to the important things, which is how the game plays, this definitely delivers. A very strong part of this game is the co-op. It's what made it one of my favorite games of this year. In the co-op you get 4 players and they're trying to achieve a mission, but they will all die a lot. But through each subsequent playthrough that they go through, they will become better. They will perfect their skills until they can easily just run through the level and annihilate everything that stands between them and their objective. Pulling this off, like getting that coordination and skill and communication between all 4 players, is very, very satisfying. So as for the final top 3, hold on to your shorts, everyone. We got Hotline Miami taking spot number 3. This game is brilliant, fantastic, it's brutal, it's fast. The music is sweet. Playing the game, it's like putting on some really trippy music, really loud, and then bashing your head against the wall. And eventually you will bash your head against the wall enough times that you will make a hole in it and you will find some treasure. Or you will knock yourself unconscious and enter a blissful sleep in which there is no pain, nor fear, nor hatred. So number 2 is kind of conflicting for me to talk about. Call of Duty Black Ops 2. I mean, the single player is very enjoyable. There's some parts in which the story branches out depending on your choices, which I think is pretty innovative for such a, you know, standard title. You know, a title that sticks to such a standard formula. And the multiplayer, it's great. I like it. It's got its problems, as one would expect, but I've been playing a lot of it and I'm having a lot of fun. It's fast paced. Maybe the maps are too small, but the revamped create a class system, it's like uber nerd for me. You can customize your classes to be as specific as to being used for only one map or maybe in only one kind of situation, and I just can't do it. It's like I'm in this kind of abusive relationship with Call of Duty, and if I don't give it a spot in the top 3, I'm afraid it's gonna leave me, and I don't want it to leave me. I just want Call of Duty to love me like it used to love me back in the day. It was beautiful. And it's gone. I love you, Call of Duty. So every now and then comes a game that almost seems as if it was made specifically for you. You find all aspects of it appealing: sound, graphics, gameplay, story. It all comes together, and that game for me this year is Dishonored. The setting is bleak and it just draws you in. The story, it's kind of standard nerd fare, but it's still pretty enthralling and it pulls you in. I kind of want to know more about this place, this city of Dunwall, and the people that live in it, and all this conflict that they're having to face. Gameplay is also fluid, easy, and really fun. If you want to be stealthy, you can be stealthy. If you want to kill some dudes, you can kill some dudes. If you want to kill some dudes and be stealthy with some of these other dudes, then you can do that. And all the techniques, tactics, and abilities which are available to you just kind of have you trying to outdo yourself into trying to pull off the more skillful kills, or trying to set up challenges for yourself, like, oh, I want to do this way, I want to do this without getting caught, I want to do this killing everyone in a single strike, fell swoop. It's amazing, it's great, I love it. Yay! So there you have it, that's my list, and while I regret not having had the time to go through some of the other titles mentioned by the other guys over at 4playernetwork.com, such as Dust, The Walking Dead, Mark of the Ninja. I mean, I'm sure they're great games. I'll get around to them sometime. And since all the cool kids nowadays are doing it, I'll go ahead and plug in my Twitter. Follow me at Edgar Allan Pone. Thank you. Good night. Video games suck. No, for real.